I let my bullies beat me up, and it was the best day of my life. The first punch split my lip at exactly 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I couldn't have been happier. I know how that sounds. Trust me, I get it. But when Marcus Chen's fist connected with my mouth in the Roosevelt High parking lot, sending blood spattering across my white polo shirt, all I could think was, asterisk finally. This is it, asterisk. You think you're smart, don't you, Parker? Marcus growled, flexing his knuckles. Behind him, Jake Morrison and Tyler Webb spread out like wolves, blocking any escape routes. Not that I planned on running. Not today. I think a lot of things, I replied, tasting copper. The tiny camera clipped inside my backpack was getting everything. Every word. Every punch that was coming. Marcus laughed, that same cruel sound that had echoed through these halls for 3 years. Still got that smart mouth. Remember sophomore year when you thought you could embarrass me in debate class? How could I forget? He'd cornered me after I demolished his argument about funding cuts to arts programs. Grabbed my presentation materials and scattered them across the hallway while Sarah Mitchell, the girl I'd been crushing on since 8th grade, watched in horror. The humiliation burned worse than any physical pain. That was 2 years ago, I said. And you cost me my spot on varsity debate team, you little freak. Tyler stepped closer, cracking his neck. Coach said I wasn't intellectually ready after you made me look stupid. The irony wasn't lost on me. Tyler Webb calling anyone else stupid while maintaining a 2.1 GPA purely through his father's donations to the athletic department. But I bit my tongue. Literally, actually, since Marcus had hit me pretty hard. So here's what's going to happen, Marcus continued, checking his Rolex, a graduation gift from his parents. We're going to finish what we started freshman year. Consider it a graduation present. Freshman year. When I was 97 pounds and thought joining the cross-country team would make me fit in. Instead, these three had made it their personal mission to remind me daily that I didn't belong. Shoved me into lockers, flushed my head in toilets, posted pictures of me changing in the locker room on Instagram with captions like, future school shooter bod. The school administration. They saw 3 honor roll athletes with full rides to Division I schools. Marcus was headed to Stanford on a football scholarship worth $280,000. Jake had Northwestern locked up for lacrosse. Tyler's family connections had secured him Princeton, despite his academic deficiencies. Me. I was just Daniel Parker. The weird kid who spent lunch in the library and wore the same 5 shirts in rotation because my mom worked double shifts at the hospital just to keep us afloat. But that was about to change. Jake grabbed my backpack strap and yanked me forward. Hold him, he told Tyler. They had no idea that Amy Rodriguez was recording from behind the gym entrance, or that Brian Kim had his phone ready from the second-floor science lab window. They didn't know about the 3 months I'd spent documenting every incident, every threat, every time they'd made my life hell. They especially didn't know that in 43 minutes, everything would change forever. Tyler grabbed my arms. Marcus stepped up, grinning. This is for 4 years of making us look bad, Parker. I smiled back, blood on my teeth. Bring it on. The second punch caught me in the ribs, and I doubled over, gasping. Through watery eyes, I saw Mrs. Henderson's Honda pulling out of the faculty parking lot. Perfect timing, she was always the last teacher to leave on Tuesdays because of the chess club meeting that ended at 3:45. Not so tough now, are you? Jake laughed, shoving me backward into Tyler's grip. Remember when you told Principal Morrison, no relation, by the way, that I cheated on the SATs? I did remember. Because Jake had cheated, using a stolen answer key that his older brother bought for $500. I'd overheard him bragging about it to his girlfriend, Stephanie, outside the guidance counselor's office. When I reported it, somehow it became my word against his. Guess who the administration believed? Funny thing about that, Jake continued, rolling up his sleeves to reveal arms thick from years of lacrosse training. Turns out my dad plays golf with Morrison every Saturday. Weird how that works. Marcus checked his watch again, a nervous habit I'd catalogued over months of observation. 3:51 p.m. The parking lot was nearly empty now, just a few cars belonging to students with after-school jobs. Exactly as I predicted. You know what your problem is, Parker. Marcus grabbed my chin, forcing me to look at him. His Stanford class ring, yeah, he already had one, because of course he did, dug into my jaw. You think being smart makes you better than us. Doesn't it? I managed to croak out. Wrong answer. Marcus's backhand sent me sprawling across the asphalt. The tiny stones bit into my palms, and I felt the camera in my backpack shift. For a terrifying second, I worried it might have been damaged. Careful, Tyler warned, glancing around nervously. We don't want to. What? Hurt him too bad. Marcus's voice dripped with mock concern. Like when we gave him that concussion junior year. The concussion. October 15th, 2023. They'd cornered me in the empty gymnasium after I'd scored higher than all 3 of them on the SAT. Marcus had shoved me into the bleachers, and my head had connected with the metal support beam. I'd thrown up twice that night and seen double for 3 days. My mom wanted to take me to the hospital, but we couldn't afford the bills. The school nurse said I was probably fine and suggested I take some Tylenol. That was an accident, Jake said, but his voice lacked conviction. Was it? I pulled myself up to my knees, spitting blood onto the pavement. Like when you locked me in the equipment shed overnight was an accident. Or when you spread those rumors about me and Mr. Peterson was an accident. Tyler's grip tightened on my shoulders. You brought that on yourself, freak. Nobody told you to be such a what? The voice came from behind them. We all turned. Sarah Mitchell stood 20 feet away, her cheerleading practice bag slung over her shoulder. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a ponytail, and she wore the same confused expression she'd had 2 years ago when Marcus destroyed my presentation. But this time was different. This time, she was supposed to be here. Sarah. Marcus's demeanor shifted instantly, the violent predator becoming the charming quarterback in a heartbeat. Hey babe, we were just. Just what? She stepped closer, and I caught the slight tremor in her voice. Good. She was nervous, but she was here. What are you doing to Daniel? The way she said my name, not Parker or that weird kid, but Daniel, sent something warm through my chest despite the pain. Marcus forced a laugh. Just having a conversation. Right, Parker. All eyes turned to me. This was it. The moment I'd been planning for months. I looked at Sarah, then at my bullies, then smiled. Actually, I said, we were just getting started. The confusion on Sarah's face was genuine, but I caught the subtle nod she gave me. 3 weeks of careful planning had led to this moment. 3 weeks of me finally working up the courage to approach her after advanced chemistry, explaining everything, showing her the evidence I'd compiled. Daniel, what's going on? She asked, playing her part perfectly. You're bleeding. He fell, Tyler said quickly. Right, Danny boy? I almost laughed. Danny boy. Like we were friends who'd grown up together instead of predator and prey. But Tyler's nervousness was showing, another detail I'd noted during my months of observation. He always got jumpy when girls were around, especially pretty ones. Especially Sarah Mitchell. I didn't fall, I said clearly, making sure my voice carried. Amy would need good audio from her position. They've been beating me up for 4 years, and today they decided to finish the job. Marcus's jaw tightened. Parker, you really want to do this in front of? In front of witnesses? I interrupted. Yeah, Marcus. I really do. That's when I saw it, the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. For just a moment, the mask slipped. Marcus Chen, Roosevelt High's golden boy, realized that maybe, possibly, he wasn't in complete control of this situation. But it only lasted a second. Sarah, you should go, he said, his voice taking on that commanding tone that had worked so well for him as team captain. This doesn't concern you. Actually, it does. Sarah dropped her practice bag and crossed her arms. Daniel's in my AP literature class. We're partners on the final project. We weren't partners. Sarah Martinez, different Sarah, freshman year, braces and thick glasses, was my actual partner. But Sarah Mitchell's lie was beautiful in its simplicity. It gave her a reason to care, a reason to stay. Jake shifted uncomfortably. Look, this is between us and Parker. It's not. Not what? Sarah's voice got sharper. Not 3 guys beating up someone half your size. Not exactly the kind of thing that looks good on college applications. The magic words. Marcus froze, and I could practically see the calculations running through his head. Sarah Mitchell wasn't just any witness, she was student council vice president, honor society, and her father was on the school board. Her word carried weight. Nobody's beating anyone up, Marcus said carefully. We were just talking. With your fists. Sarah gestured at my split lip, at the blood on my shirt. That's some conversation. Tyler released my shoulders and took a step back. Maybe we should just. Shut up, Tyler. Marcus's mask was slipping further. This was the real him, the one who'd cornered me in empty hallways, who'd made my life hell for years. Sarah, I'm telling you to leave. Now. Big mistake. Huge mistake. Sarah Mitchell didn't like being told what to do, especially not by boys who thought their athletic ability made them kings. I'd seen her tear apart Jason Liu when he'd suggested she couldn't handle the workload as class treasurer. I'd watched her demolish Chad Brooks when he'd questioned her statistics in debate. Excuse me. Her voice could have cut glass. You're telling me. Marcus realized his error immediately, but it was too late. The damage was done. I didn't mean. No, I think you meant exactly what you said. Sarah pulled out her phone. And I think Coach Williams would be very interested to know how his star quarterback treats his classmates. My heart hammered against my ribs. This wasn't part of the plan, Sarah was improvising now, and it was perfect. Better than perfect. Marcus stepped toward her, and for the first time in 4 years, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. Put the phone away, Sarah. She raised it higher, finger hovering over the screen. Make me. The standoff lasted exactly 12 seconds. I counted them, watching Marcus's face cycle through emotions like a broken traffic light, anger, fear, calculation, and back to anger. You don't want to do this, Sarah, he said, but his voice had lost that commanding edge. Now he sounded like what he really was, a scared 18-year-old whose entire future hung on a scholarship and a squeaky clean reputation. Actually, I think I do. Sarah's thumb moved toward her screen. Let's see. Coach Williams' number should be right, here. That's when Marcus snapped. He lunged forward, not toward me this time, but toward Sarah. Toward her phone. Jake shouted something, a warning, maybe, or encouragement, and Tyler actually tried to grab Marcus's arm. But Marcus was 6 feet 2 inches and 210 pounds of lean muscle, and when he moved fast. Sarah stumbled backward, clutching her phone to her chest. Her practice bag hit the ground, spilling out her cheerleading uniform and a water bottle that rolled under someone's car. Marcus, what the hell? Tyler's voice cracked. You can't just. I can do whatever I want. Marcus roared, and there it was, the real him, finally exposed. No more golden boy mask, no more charming quarterback routine. Just entitled rage in its purest form. My dad donated $50,000 to this school. My family name is on the fucking library. The profanity hung in the air like smoke. Marcus Chin didn't swear in public, it was part of his carefully crafted image. Student body president candidates didn't drop F-bombs in parking lots. But this wasn't the Marcus who gave inspirational speeches at pep rallies. This was the Marcus who'd held my head underwater in the pool during mandatory swim practice sophomore year until I'd nearly blacked out. Sarah's eyes widened, but she didn't back down. If anything, she stood straighter. So that gives you the right to assault people. Nobody's been assaulted. Marcus shot back, but his voice was too loud, too defensive. Parker's a liar. He's always been a liar. Then why is he bleeding? I touched my split lip, feeling the swelling that was already starting. My ribs ached where Jake had punched me, and my palms were scraped from hitting the asphalt. The evidence was literally written on my body. He fell, Jake repeated weakly, but even he didn't sound convinced anymore. 3 times. Sarah gestured at my various injuries. He just fell 3 times. That's when I heard it, a car door slamming in the distance. My head snapped up, and I saw Principal Morrison walking across the far end of the parking lot, heading toward the main building. He was too far away to see us clearly, but if he turned. Marcus heard it too. His whole body went rigid. Fuck, Tyler whispered. Is that Morrison? Jake confirmed. Shit. If he sees. He won't see anything, Marcus said through gritted teeth, because there's nothing to see. But there was everything to see. Sarah Mitchell holding her phone like a weapon. 3 athletes clustered around their bloodied classmate. Me, kneeling on the asphalt with evidence of violence painted across my face. Principal Morrison was 50 yards away and walking slowly, but he was heading in our general direction. Sarah, Marcus said, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. Please. For the first time since this started, he sounded human. Vulnerable. Like maybe he understood that his entire carefully constructed future was balanced on a knife's edge. Sarah looked at him for a long moment. Then she looked at me. Daniel, she said quietly. Are you okay? The question was simple, but loaded. Was I okay with ending this here? Was I okay with letting them walk away again, consequences-free, while I went home to explain to my mother why my face looked like hamburger? I thought about Stanford. About the full-ride scholarship that would take Marcus away from here forever, but also give him everything he'd ever wanted. I thought about Northwestern and Princeton, about Jake and Tyler skating through life on their privilege and their parents' money. I thought about 4 years of humiliation. Of concussions and equipment sheds and rumors that had nearly cost me my relationship with the one teacher who'd ever believed in me. And then I thought about the recording devices capturing every word of this conversation. Principal Morrison was 40 yards away now. I smiled, tasting blood again. Actually, I said, loud enough for Morrison to hear if he was listening, I don't think I am okay at all. Sarah's thumb hit the call button. Marcus's face went white as paper. The phone never finished connecting. Marcus moved faster than I'd ever seen him move on the football field, his hand shooting out to knock Sarah's phone from her grip. It hit the asphalt with a sharp crack, the screen spiderwebbing across the pavement. Oops, he said, but his smile was pure venom. Sarah stared at the broken device, her carefully maintained composure finally cracking. That was a $900 phone, Marcus. My dad is going to. Your dad's going to what? Bill my family. Marcus laughed, but it sounded forced. We'll buy you 10 phones, Sarah. Hell, we'll buy you 20. That was Marcus Chen in a nutshell, thinking every problem could be solved with daddy's money. And honestly, most of the time, he was right. But not today. Principal Morrison was 35 yards away now, close enough that I could make out his expression. He looked tired, probably just wanting to finish his day and go home to his wife and their stupid little dog that he showed pictures of during morning announcements. Daniel, we should go, Sarah said, her voice tight. She knelt to gather the pieces of her phone, and I caught the slight tremor in her hands. This was harder for her than she was letting on. 3 weeks ago, when I'd approached her after advanced chemistry, she'd listened to my plan with the kind of focus she usually reserved for AP exam prep. But planning was different from executing. Yeah, Parker, Tyler added quickly. This got out of hand. Let's just forget this happened, okay? Forget this happened. Like the past 4 years. Like every humiliation, every threat, every time they'd made me feel less than human. Jake was already backing toward their cars, Marcus's BMW, Tyler's Jeep, Jake's hand-me-down Mercedes that was still worth more than my mom's annual salary. They wanted out, wanted to retreat to their safe spaces where consequences didn't exist. But I wasn't done. Not even close. You know what's funny? I said, pulling myself up to my feet. My ribs protested, but I pushed through the pain. 3 weeks ago, I was going to kill myself. The words hit them like a physical blow. Sarah's head snapped up from her broken phone. Marcus actually took a step backward. Jesus, Parker, Tyler whispered. Don't say shit like that. Why not? It's true. I wiped blood from my chin, feeling strangely calm. November 8th. I had it all planned out. Pills from my mom's medicine cabinet. She works so much, she probably wouldn't have found me for hours. Daniel. Sarah's voice was barely audible. But then I realized something. I looked directly at Marcus, seeing my reflection in his horrified eyes. If I did that, you'd win. All 3 of you would graduate, go to your fancy colleges, and never think about the weird kid who couldn't handle a little roughhousing. Morrison was 25 yards away now. Close enough that his footsteps echoed across the empty parking lot. So instead, I continued, my voice getting stronger, I decided to fight back. Just not the way you expected. Marcus's jaw tightened. What the hell are you talking about? I reached into my backpack, past the hidden camera, and pulled out a thick manila folder. The one I'd been carrying every day for 3 weeks, waiting for this moment. Incident reports, I said, holding it up like a trophy. 47 documented cases of harassment, assault, and intimidation. Complete with dates, times, witnesses, and photographs of injuries. The color drained from Jake's face. You can't, that's not legal. Oh, it's completely legal. I flipped the folder open, showing them the top page, a detailed account of the equipment shed incident, complete with timestamps and photos of the bruises on my wrists from where they'd zip-tied me to the basketball hoop. My mom might work double shifts, but she still found time to help me research my rights. Tyler was shaking his head frantically. Nobody's going to believe. Believe what? That 3-star athletes bullied their classmate. I laughed, and it felt good. Really good. Tyler, your own teammates call you roid rage behind your back. Jake, you threw a chair at substitute teacher Mrs. Patterson last month. And Marcus. I paused, savoring the moment. Marcus, you're the kid who got suspended in 8th grade for putting a freshman in the hospital. The only reason it didn't stick was because your daddy threatened to pull his funding from the new gymnasium. Principal Morrison was 15 yards away now, and I could see the exact moment he registered what was happening. His stride faltered, then quickened. Marcus saw him too. Desperation crept into his voice. Parker, whatever you think you're doing. I'm not thinking anything, I said. I'm doing it. That's when I started screaming. Help. Somebody help me. My voice carried across the parking lot like a fire alarm. Principal Morrison's head snapped up, and he broke into a run. What the fuck are you doing? Marcus hissed, but it was too late. They're beating me up. Please help. I screamed again, clutching my ribs and staggering backward. The performance wasn't even hard, everything hurt anyway. Sarah caught on immediately. Oh my god, Daniel. Are you okay? She played her part perfectly, rushing to my side with genuine-looking concern. You crazy piece of, Jake started forward, but Tyler grabbed his arm. Don't, Tyler whispered urgently. Morrison's coming. Don't make it worse. But Marcus had completely lost it. For years of consequence-free violence had never prepared him for this moment, watching his victim take control of the narrative. You think you're clever, he snarled, stepping closer despite Tyler's warning. You think this changes anything? Boys. Principal Morrison's voice boomed across the asphalt. He was jogging now, his tie flapping behind him. What's going on here? I let myself collapse against Sarah's shoulder, making sure Morrison could see the blood on my shirt, the swelling around my eye that was getting worse by the minute. Mr. Morrison, I gasped. Thank God you're here. Morrison reached us in seconds, his face cycling through confusion, recognition, and growing alarm as he took in the scene. 3 of his star athletes standing over their bloodied classmate. Sarah Mitchell cradling a broken phone. Me, looking like I'd been hit by a truck. Jesus Christ, he breathed. Daniel, what happened to you? Marcus jumped in before I could answer. Sir, this is all a misunderstanding. Parker fell in. I didn't fall. My voice was steady now, calm. They've been beating me up for 4 years, and today they decided to finish what they started. Morrison's eyes went wide. In 10 years as principal, he'd dealt with cheating scandals, drug busts, and budget crises. But this was different. This was 3 college-bound athletes potentially destroying everything he'd built. That's not true, Jake said quickly. We were just talking and he... Talking? Sarah held up her destroyed phone. Then why did Marcus smash my phone when I tried to call for help? Beautiful. She turned the broken phone from evidence of Marcus's aggression into proof of a cover-up attempt. Morrison's gaze shifted to Marcus, and I saw something die in the quarterback's eyes. The realization that his golden boy status wouldn't save him this time. Marcus, Morrison said carefully, did you break Miss Mitchell's phone? It was an accident, Marcus replied, but his voice cracked on the word accident. An accident. Morrison repeated the words like they tasted sour. And Daniel's injuries? He's lying. Tyler burst out. Parker's been trying to get us in trouble for years. He's obsessed with us. Wrong move. Completely wrong move. Morrison's expression hardened. Obsessed? Tyler, are you suggesting Daniel did this to himself? The question hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Because that's exactly what Tyler was suggesting, that I'd somehow split my own lip, bruised my own ribs, scraped my own palms bloody. Tyler looked around desperately, realizing his mistake. No, sir. I didn't mean. What did you mean? Morrison's voice had taken on the tone he used for disciplinary hearings. Marcus tried to salvage the situation. Principal Morrison, you know us. You know our families. We would never. Never what, Marcus? Never hurt a classmate. Morrison's eyes flicked to my injuries again. Because I'm looking at evidence that suggests otherwise. That's when I played my ace. Mr. Morrison, I said quietly, there's something else you should know. I pulled out a single sheet of paper from my manila folder, not the whole thing, not yet. Just 1 page. The medical report from my concussion junior year, the one my mother had finally convinced me to document. Last October, they gave me a concussion. Put me in the hospital overnight. Morrison took the paper with shaking hands. His face went pale as he read the details: traumatic brain injury, possible skull fracture, recommended psychiatric evaluation for the emotional trauma. Daniel, he whispered, why didn't you report this? I tried to, sir. 3 times. But somehow it always got buried in paperwork. The accusation was clear, Morrison's administration had failed me. Repeatedly. Marcus made one last desperate play. Sir, you can't believe. What I believe, Morrison interrupted, his voice steel, is that we need to call the police. Right now. For words that changed everything, call the police. Not detention. Not suspension. Not a stern talking to in his office. Police. Marcus's Stanford scholarship flashed before his eyes and died. The word police hit Marcus like a physical blow. I watched his face cycle through denial, panic, and then something I'd never seen before, genuine terror. Police. His voice cracked. Sir, that's not necessary. We can handle this internally, right? Like we always do. Like we always do, beautiful. Marcus had just admitted there was a pattern, a history of the administration covering for them. Principal Morrison's jaw tightened. Marcus, are you suggesting we've mishandled situations like this before? The parking lot fell silent except for the distant hum of traffic on Riverside Drive. Even Sarah stopped breathing, sensing how critical this moment was. No sir, Marcus backtracked frantically. I just meant, you know my family. My dad and you play tennis at the country club every Thursday. He's going to be devastated when he hears about this misunderstanding. Wrong card to play. Completely wrong card. Morrison's expression shifted from concern to something approaching disgust. Marcus, are you threatening me? What? No. I would never. Because it sounds like you're reminding me of your father's influence in this community. Morrison's voice carried across the empty parking lot. It sounds like you think that influence should affect how I handle this situation. I bit back a smile. Marcus was digging his own grave with a backhoe. 3 weeks of careful planning, and he was destroying himself faster than I ever could have. Tyler tried to pull Marcus back from the edge. He didn't mean anything by it, Mr. Morrison. We're all just stressed about graduation and... Graduation? Morrison turned his attention to Tyler. Son, I don't think you understand the severity of what's happening here. If these allegations are true, if you three have been systematically harassing and assaulting a fellow student. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. Jake's composure finally cracked. This is insane. Parker's the one who started all of this. He's been documenting every little thing for months like some kind of stalker. Another mistake. Another beautiful, self-incriminating mistake. Morrison's head snapped toward Jake. Documenting? What do you mean, documenting? I held up my manila folder again, letting them see how thick it was. 47 incidents, Mr. Morrison. Every time they cornered me in empty hallways. Every threat. Every time they made sure no teachers were around before they put their hands on me. That's not, Marcus started, but I cut him off. November 15th, 2023. Marcus shoved me into the trophy case outside the gymnasium. Chipped tooth, bruised shoulder blade. I have dental records. Marcus's eyes widened. He remembered that day, I could see it in his face. January 9th, 2024. Jake and Tyler held me while Marcus punched me in the stomach. Behind the maintenance building, 3:20 p.m. Mrs. Rodriguez saw the aftermath in her 6th period class when I couldn't stop dry heaving. February 18th, Marcus cornered me in the parking garage downtown. Told me if I ever spoke to Sarah Mitchell again, he'd put me in the hospital. Sarah's head snapped toward Marcus. You what? That was news to her, not part of our planning sessions. Real anger flashed in her eyes. I never said that, Marcus protested, but his voice lacked conviction. You did, I continued calmly. Right after the Valentine's Day dance. I'd asked Sarah about our English assignment, and you saw us talking. You followed me to my mom's car and made very specific threats about what you'd do if you ever saw us together again. Morrison was scribbling notes on the back of the medical report. Sarah, is this true? Did Marcus threaten Daniel about speaking with you? Sarah's voice was ice cold. I don't know about any threats, Mr. Morrison. But I do know that Daniel stopped participating in class discussions right around Valentine's Day. He used to answer questions all the time, but then he just went quiet. Perfect. She was connecting dots without even trying, building a narrative of systematic intimidation that went beyond physical violence. This is all circumstantial, Tyler said desperately. You can't prove. Actually, I can. I reached into my backpack and pulled out a small digital recorder. Including today's conversation. All of it. The device was no bigger than a thumb drive, but it might as well have been a nuclear weapon based on their reactions. Marcus lunged forward. Give me that. Marcus Chen, stop right there. Morrison's command voice echoed across the parking lot. Do not move another inch. Marcus froze mid-lunge, his hand still reaching toward my recorder. For a split second, we all existed in this weird tableau, him stretched forward like a statue, me holding the device just out of reach, Morrison's face darkening with every passing moment. That's assault, Sarah said quietly. We all just witnessed Marcus attempt to physically intimidate Daniel into surrendering evidence. The legal terminology wasn't accidental. Sarah's father wasn't just on the school board, he was also a partner at Henderson, Mitchell and Associates, one of the biggest law firms in the county. She'd grown up hearing this language at dinner tables. Morrison pulled out his phone. That's it. I'm calling Officer Martinez. Wait. Tyler stepped forward, his Princeton acceptance letter probably flashing before his eyes. Please, Mr. Morrison. Can we talk about this? Work something out. Work something out. Morrison's voice carried a dangerous edge. Tyler, are you seriously asking me to cover up assault charges? It's not assault. Jake protested. Nobody got seriously hurt. Look at him, he's fine. I almost laughed. My left eye was swollen nearly shut, my lip had split in 2 places, and there was a growing bruise on my jaw that would be spectacular by tomorrow. If this was their definition of fine, I'd hate to see what serious damage looked like. Jake Morrison, Principal Morrison said slowly, please tell me you're not related to me right now. Right. I'd forgotten that Jake shared the same last name as our principal. No relation, as Jake had mentioned earlier, but it made this moment extra awkward. Look, this is getting blown out of proportion, Marcus said, trying to regain control of the situation. Parker's always been dramatic. Remember freshman year when he claimed someone was following him home from school? That stung because it was true, and because someone had been following me. Marcus himself, actually, though I'd never been able to prove it. He'd drive his BMW slowly behind me for blocks, revving the engine whenever I looked back. Psychological warfare at its finest. The only thing dramatic here, Morrison replied, is 3 athletes ganging up on a classmate half their size. He started dialing, and I saw panic bloom across Marcus's face like a time-lapse flower. My dad will sue the school, Marcus blurted out. He'll sue you personally. Our family has donated over $200,000 to this district. The Chin name is on the fucking auditorium. The profanity hung in the air like a slap. Marcus Chen did not swear in front of adults. It was another crack in his perfect facade. Morrison's thumb hovered over the call button. Are you threatening me again, Marcus? I'm stating facts. Marcus's voice climbed toward hysteria. My father knows the superintendent personally. He plays golf with half the school board. You think they're going to side with some nobody over a family that's been supporting this school for decades? There it was. The ugly truth that had protected him for 4 years. Money talks, and the Chin family spoke fluent cash. But Morrison surprised me. You know what, Marcus? You're probably right. Your father probably will make some phone calls. The school board probably will ask difficult questions. His thumb moved toward the screen. But I've been doing this job for 15 years, and I've never seen injuries like Daniel's from a simple misunderstanding. The phone started ringing. Officer Martinez's number, I assumed. Please, Tyler whispered. My acceptance to Princeton, if this gets out. Should have thought about that before you decided to be complicit in assault, Morrison replied coldly. That's when I heard the second car door slam. We all turned to see Coach Williams walking across the parking lot, his Roosevelt High windbreaker unzipped and his whistle still hanging around his neck. Tuesday practice must have just ended. Marcus's face lit up like Christmas morning. Coach. Thank God you're here. Wrong reaction. Completely wrong reaction. Coach Williams took in the scene with the practiced eye of someone who'd been dealing with teenage drama for 25 years. His star quarterback standing over a bloodied classmate. The principal on the phone with what was obviously law enforcement. Sarah Mitchell looking like she'd seen a murder. What in the hell is going on here? Williams demanded. Coach, this is all a big misunderstanding, Marcus started, but Williams held up a hand. Marcus, shut your mouth. The coach's voice carried the authority of someone who turned around losing seasons and sent dozens of players to college programs. Daniel, what happened to your face? The question was direct, simple. No assumptions, no taking sides based on scholarships or family donations. I looked Coach Williams in the eye and told him the truth. They beat me up, Coach. Like they have been for 4 years. Williams turned to Marcus, and I saw something die in the quarterback's expression. His last hope for adult protection had just evaporated. Marcus chin, Coach Williams said quietly, please tell me this young man is lying. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, then opened it again like a fish gasping for air. He had nothing left. The silence stretched between Marcus and Coach Williams for exactly 8 seconds before Marcus made the worst decision of his life. Daniel's lying, he said, but his voice wavered. He's been obsessed with us for years. This is all some elaborate setup because he couldn't handle a little friendly competition. Coach Williams studied Marcus's face with the same intensity he used to analyze game footage. 25 years of coaching had taught him to read body language, to spot tells, to know when his players were feeding him bullshit. Friendly competition, Williams repeated slowly. Is that what we're calling it? Yes, sir. Parker here has always been jealous of our success. Our scholarships. The fact that we're popular and he's. Marcus gestured vaguely at me. Well, look at him. Wrong answer. So spectacularly wrong that even Tyler winced. Coach Williams stepped closer to Marcus, and despite being 3 inches shorter, somehow seemed to tower over him. Son, I've been watching you play football for 3 years. I've seen you lead this team to 2 district championships. I've written recommendation letters that helped secure your Stanford scholarship. Marcus nodded eagerly. Exactly, Coach. You know I would never. What I know, Williams cut him off, is that you just referred to a bleeding classmate as, look at him, like he was something you'd scrape off your shoe. The coach turned to examine my injuries with clinical precision. Split lip, swollen eye, scraped palms, the way I was favoring my left side where Jake had punched my ribs. Daniel, how long has this been going on? 4 years, Coach. Since freshman year. Williams nodded grimly. And you've reported it? 3 times to the administration. Nothing ever came of it. I saw Principal Morrison's jaw tighten at that. His phone call with Officer Martinez was still connecting, the ringing audible in the quiet parking lot. Coach, you can't seriously believe, Jake started. Jake Morrison, I've seen you throw equipment when you're frustrated. I've watched you scream at referees until you got ejected from games. So yes, I can absolutely believe you put your hands on a classmate. Jake's mouth snapped shut. Williams turned to Tyler. And you, Webb. Your father calls me twice a week worried about your anger management issues. Says you've been in therapy since middle school for violent outbursts. Tyler's face went white. That was clearly information he thought was confidential. That's not, my dad said those conversations were private. They were. Until you decided to allegedly assault a fellow student. Williams looked back at me. Daniel, do you have any proof of what you're claiming? I held up the digital recorder again. Everything from today. Plus documentation going back 2 years. Marcus made another lunge for the device, but this time Coach Williams caught his arm. Marcus Chen, if you move one more muscle toward that boy, I will personally drive you home and explain to your parents why you're no longer welcome on my football team. The threat hit Marcus like ice water. Football wasn't just his identity, it was his ticket to Stanford, his path out of Roosevelt High and into the elite world his parents had always planned for him. You can't kick me off the team, Marcus said desperately. The season starts in 3 months. You need me. The scouts are expecting. The scouts are expecting a young man with character and leadership skills, Williams interrupted. Not someone who beats up classmates in parking lots. That's when Officer Martinez's voice crackled through Morrison's phone. Roosevelt High, this is Martinez. What's the situation? Principal Morrison's eyes never left my bloodied face as he answered. We need you here immediately, officer. We have an assault situation involving multiple students. The word assault seemed to echo across the empty parking lot. Official now. On record. No more friendly conversations or internal discipline. Marcus's Stanford dream started crumbling in real time. Officer Martinez will be here in 5 minutes, Morrison announced, ending the call. His face was grim as he surveyed our little group. Nobody leaves until he arrives. Marcus's breathing became shallow, rapid. I'd seen that look before, during the district championship game when we were down by 14 in the 4th quarter. Pure, undiluted panic. This is insane, he muttered, running his hands through his perfectly styled hair. 5 years from now, I'll be graduating Stanford pre-med, Parker will be working at some dead-end job, and none of this will matter. Actually, Sarah said quietly, 5 years from now, Daniel will probably be graduating Harvard. The comment seemed random until I realized what she was doing. Sarah had seen my acceptance letter, I'd shown it to her during one of our planning sessions, along with a full scholarship offer that would cover everything my mom's hospital salary couldn't. Marcus's head snapped toward me. Harvard. You got into Harvard. I nodded, feeling a strange sense of pride despite the circumstances. Early admission. Full academic scholarship. The information hit him like a physical blow. For 4 years, he'd convinced himself that I was beneath him, poor, weak, destined for nothing. The idea that I might actually surpass him academically was incomprehensible. That's impossible, Tyler said flatly. Your grades aren't that good. Actually, they are. Coach Williams pulled out his phone and scrolled through what looked like academic records. 4.0 GPA, 1580 SAT, National Merit Scholar, debate team captain. He looked up at me with something approaching respect. Son, why didn't anyone tell me we had a Harvard-bound student getting harassed? Principal Morrison shifted uncomfortably. Coach, student privacy laws prevent us from. Bullshit. Williams's voice cut through the excuse like a blade. Tom, you've bent those privacy laws into pretzels when it comes to keeping my players academically eligible. Don't pretend you couldn't have made an exception for this. Morrison's face reddened. They were talking about me like I wasn't standing right there, but I didn't mind. Every word was being recorded, adding to the mountain of evidence that would bury my tormentors. Jake tried a different approach. Look, maybe we all got a little heated. Guys our age, testosterone running high, you know how it is. But nobody meant any real harm. Real harm? Coach Williams gestured at my swollen face. Jake, that boy looks like he went 10 rounds with a heavyweight boxer. It's not that bad, Jake protested weakly. That's when Sarah held up her phone. Apparently she had a backup device. The screen showed a photo she'd just taken of my injuries, and even I was shocked by how bad it looked. My left eye was nearly swollen shut, there was dried blood crusted around my nose, and a bruise was spreading across my jaw like spilled ink. Not that bad. Sarah's voice dripped with disgust. Jake, I've seen less damage at actual boxing matches. Marcus was staring at the photo with growing horror. Maybe he was finally realizing that this wasn't some minor scuffle he could laugh off. This looked like what it was, 3 athletes systematically beating a smaller classmate. Jesus, Tyler whispered. Did we really do all that? The question hung in the air unanswered because we all knew the truth. Yes, they really had done all that. And worse, they'd enjoyed it. In the distance, I could hear a siren approaching. Officer Martinez, coming to turn my months of planning into official police business. Marcus heard it too. His face went absolutely white. My parents are going to kill me. The siren grew louder, and I watched Marcus's carefully constructed world collapse in real time. His hands were shaking now, actually trembling, as the sound of approaching authority cut through the evening air. My scholarship, he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. Stanford's honor code, they'll revoke everything. Coach Williams crossed his arms. Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to use Daniel as a punching bag. That's when Tyler made his move. Not toward me this time, but toward the parking lot exit. He took 3 quick steps before Principal Morrison's voice stopped him cold. Tyler Webb, if you take one more step, I'll have you arrested for fleeing the scene. Tyler froze, his Princeton acceptance letter probably flashing before his eyes like his life was ending. Which, in a way, it was. I can't be here when the cops arrive, Tyler said desperately. My dad, he's already on probation with the medical board. If this gets out, if there's any scandal connected to our family name. Dr. Webb's probation. That was news to me, but it explained Tyler's panic. I filed it away with all the other details I've been collecting. You never knew what information might prove useful. Officer Martinez's patrol car rounded the corner into our parking lot, red and blue lights painting our little drama in alternating colors. The siren cut off, but somehow the silence felt more ominous than the noise. Marcus's breathing was coming in short, sharp gasps now. This can't be happening. Oh, it's happening, Sarah said coolly. And it's about time. Jake rounded on her with sudden fury. This is all your fault. If you'd just minded your own business, walked away like Marcus told you to. What? You'd have put Daniel in the hospital instead of just beating him bloody. Sarah's voice could have cut steel. How noble of you. Officer Martinez stepped out of his patrol car, and I got my first good look at him. Mid-40s, stocky build, the kind of cop who'd probably played football in high school himself. His eyes swept across our group, taking in the blood on my shirt, the broken phone on the asphalt, the guilty expressions on 3 athletes' faces. Principal Morrison, he said, approaching our cluster. What do we have here? Morrison gestured toward me. Officer Martinez, this is Daniel Parker. He's alleging that these 3 students, he pointed at Marcus, Jake, and Tyler, have been systematically harassing and assaulting him for several years, culminating in today's incident. Martinez pulled out a small notebook and pen. Daniel, is that correct? These boys attacked you? Yes, sir. I held up the digital recorder again. I have audio evidence of today's assault, plus documentation of previous incidents going back 2 years. Marcus finally found his voice. Officer, this is all a misunderstanding. We were just talking, and things got a little heated. Nobody intended. Son, Martinez interrupted, examining my swollen face with professional interest. These injuries don't look like the result of a conversation. They look like someone used you as a punching bag. He turned to Coach Williams. Coach, you saw what happened here. I arrived after the fact, Williams admitted. But I've seen enough to know these boys have some serious explaining to do. Martinez nodded and focused on Sarah. Miss, you witnessed the incident. Yes, sir. I saw Marcus punch Daniel multiple times. When I tried to call for help, Marcus destroyed my phone. She gestured to the broken device still scattered across the pavement. That was an accident, Marcus protested weakly. Martinez picked up a piece of Sarah's shattered phone, examining it like evidence. This level of damage doesn't look accidental, son. Looks like someone stomped on it. Actually, Marcus had only knocked it from Sarah's hands, but I wasn't about to correct Martinez's interpretation. Sometimes witnesses see what they expect to see. Tyler was hyperventilating now. Officer, please. My father's Dr. Richard Webb at Mercy General. If this becomes public record. Dr. Webb, who's been under investigation for insurance fraud? Martinez asked casually. Tyler's face went white as paper. How did you? Small town, son. Word gets around. Martinez made another note. Sounds like your family's got enough problems without you adding assault charges to the mix. Perfect. Even better than I'd hoped. The look on Tyler's face when Martinez mentioned his father's investigation was pure poetry. For years of hiding behind family prestige, and it turned out Dr. Webb was under federal scrutiny for billing Medicare for procedures he'd never performed. That investigation is confidential, Tyler stammered. Was confidential, Martinez corrected. Grand jury indictments become public record next week. Your timing here couldn't be worse, son. Jake started backing toward the cars again. Look, officer, maybe we should call our parents before this goes any further. Get some lawyers involved. Lawyers? Martinez's eyebrows went up. Son, nobody mentioned lawyers until you did. Makes me wonder what you think you need legal representation for. I almost felt bad for them. Almost. Then I remembered sophomore year when they'd locked me in the equipment shed for 6 hours during the homecoming dance. My mom had filed a missing person report when I didn't come home. The police had searched for me until 2 a.m. while I sat zip-tied to a basketball hoop, listening to music and laughter from the dance echoing across the empty campus. Officer Martinez, I said, pulling out my manila folder again. There's something else you should see. Marcus's eyes went wide with fresh panic. What now? I opened the folder to a section I'd marked with a yellow tab. Text messages. Screenshots of group chats where they planned some of their activities. Martinez took the papers, scanning the printed messages. His expression darkened with each line. Parker's walking home alone tonight, he read aloud. Perfect opportunity to teach him another lesson. Martinez looked up at Marcus. This is from your phone number, son. Marcus's mouth opened and closed silently. Made sure Richardson's car broke down so he can't give Parker a ride, Martinez continued reading. 3 hours in the rain should be educational. That was from October 12th. Marcus had somehow sabotaged my friend Chris Richardson's car, sugar in the gas tank, we'd figured out later, so I'd have to walk home in a thunderstorm. I'd gotten pneumonia and missed a week of school. Sarah gasped. You sabotaged someone's car. That's destruction of property, Martinez noted, still reading. Potentially dangerous if the car had malfunctioned while driving. Jake was shaking his head frantically. Those texts are taken out of context. We were joking around. Concussion was perfect. Parker's too scared to report it because he knows what happens to snitches, Martinez read from another message. Dad's donation check cleared, so Morrison won't ask questions anyway. Principal Morrison's face went absolutely white. Marcus, please tell me you didn't just implicate me in a cover-up. I never, those messages were private. Marcus's voice cracked. Not anymore, Martinez said grimly, photographing each page with his phone. Daniel, how long have you been collecting this evidence? 2 years, sir. Ever since I realized the school administration wasn't going to protect me. Martinez shot a look at Principal Morrison, who was now sweating despite the cool evening air. We'll definitely be having a conversation about that, Tom. Tyler made one last desperate attempt. Officer, these are just teenagers being teenagers. Boys will be boys. Surely we don't need to involve the legal system over some schoolyard drama. Martinez stopped reading and stared at Tyler with genuine disbelief. Son, did you just call systematic harassment and assault boys will be boys? In front of a police officer. The parking lot fell silent except for the distant sound of traffic and Tyler's panicked breathing. Marcus whispered, we're fucked. Martinez clicked his pen. Now that, son, is the first honest thing anyone said today. Officer Martinez finished photographing my evidence and closed his notebook with a kind of finality that made Marcus flinch. All right, gentlemen. Here's what's going to happen next. The silence was deafening. Even the distant traffic seemed to pause. Daniel, you're going to need medical documentation of these injuries. I'm calling an ambulance to take you to Roosevelt General for examination and photographs. An ambulance? Tyler's voice cracked. That seems excessive for. For what? For potential internal bleeding. Concussion symptoms. Son, when someone's been assaulted, we document everything. Martinez keyed his radio. Dispatch, I need a bus at Roosevelt High School, parking lot C, assault victim, conscious and alert but needs medical evaluation. Marcus was staring at his hands like they belonged to someone else. This is really happening, he whispered. Marcus, Jake, Tyler, Martinez continued, you're all under arrest for assault in the 3rd degree, harassment, and conspiracy. Jake, you've got an additional charge for destruction of property regarding that car sabotage. The word arrest hit them like a physical blow. Tyler actually stumbled backward. Wait, Jake said desperately. Can't we work something out? Community service. Restitution. My lacrosse coach at Northwestern specifically said. Your coach at Northwestern is going to get a very interesting phone call tomorrow, Martinez replied, reaching for his handcuffs. Along with admissions offices at Stanford and Princeton. That's when Marcus completely lost it. You can't, he screamed, his perfect composure finally shattering completely. Do you have any idea who my family is? My father built the cardiac wing at Roosevelt General. He employs half this town. And now his son's going to be famous for all the wrong reasons, Martinez said calmly. Marcus Chen, you have the right to remain silent. $60 million. Marcus was hyperventilating now. That's what my family's donated to this district over the years. 60 million. You think some nobody like Parker is worth throwing that away? Principal Morrison looked like he wanted to disappear into the asphalt. Marcus, please stop talking. But Marcus was spiraling, for years of untouchable arrogance crashing down at once. My MCAT scores are in the 98th percentile. I'm going to be a surgeon. I'm going to save lives. You want to destroy that because Parker can't handle a little hazing? Martinez paused mid-Miranda warning. Hazing? Son, did you just admit this was organized hazing? I saw the exact moment Marcus realized what he'd just said. His face went white, then green. I didn't, that's not what I meant. Because organized hazing is a felony in this state, Martinez continued conversationally. Especially when it results in documented injuries over multiple years. That's not just assault anymore, that's systematic torture. Sarah was recording everything with her backup phone, and I caught her slight smile. Even she hadn't expected Marcus to hand us a confession this gift wrapped. Tyler was openly crying now. My dad's going to disown me. Princeton's going to rescind my acceptance. 20 years of planning, gone because we couldn't just leave Parker alone. Should have thought of that freshman year, Coach Williams said coldly. He'd been quiet for the last few minutes, but his disappointment was obvious. 3 scholarships worth over $800,000 combined, and you threw it all away to pick on a kid half your size. The ambulance siren wailed in the distance, the second emergency vehicle in 15 minutes. Marcus heard it and seemed to deflate completely. My parents are flying back from Singapore tomorrow for graduation, he said quietly. They've been planning the party for months. 200 guests, catered by Lo Bernardine, the works. Well, Martinez replied, clicking the handcuffs shut around Marcus's wrists, looks like you'll be celebrating somewhere else. As the ambulance pulled into the parking lot, red lights flashing, I felt something I hadn't experienced in 4 years, complete and total victory. The best day of my life was just getting started. The ambulance doors slammed shut behind me 20 minutes later, but through the small window I could see Marcus, Jake, and Tyler being loaded into Martinez's patrol car in handcuffs. The EMT, a tired-looking woman named Rodriguez, was documenting every bruise with clinical precision. Orbital contusion, possible fracture, she dictated to her partner while photographing my swollen eye. Lacerations to the lower lip requiring possible sutures. Patient reports pain in the left ribcage consistent with blunt force trauma. Each medical term was another nail in their coffins. Stanford didn't accept students with felony assault convictions, no matter how much Daddy donated to the cardiac wing. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, *, this isn't over, Parker. My father will destroy your family. *. I showed it to Rodriguez, who immediately called Martinez. Officer, we've got witness intimidation from one of your suspects. Text message sent while in custody. Another charge. Marcus really couldn't help himself. Rodriguez finished her examination and sat across from me in the cramped ambulance. Son, I've seen a lot of assault cases in 15 years. This level of systematic abuse, how long did you say this was going on? 4 years, I replied. Since freshman year. She shook her head. And the school administration knew. They knew. They just didn't care enough to do anything about it. Through the window, I watched Principal Morrison talking frantically on his phone, probably with the superintendent, trying to figure out how to spin this disaster. The Roosevelt Gazette would have a field day, 3-star athletes arrested for systematic harassment of Harvard-bound classmate. My phone buzzed again. This time it was from Brian Kim, my witness stationed at the science lab window, *, dude, Channel 7 News just pulled up. This is getting huge. *. Perfect. I'd hoped for local coverage, but statewide news meant college admissions offices across the country would see Marcus Chen's name associated with felony assault charges. Rodriguez noticed my slight smile. Feeling better. Much better, I said honestly. The ambulance pulled into Roosevelt General's emergency bay, where 2 more surprises waited. First, my mom, still in her scrubs from her shift, looking terrified and furious in equal measure. Second, a tall man in an expensive suit who could only be Marcus's father, Dr. Richard Chen. Where is my son? Dr. Chen demanded as they wheeled me past. I want to speak with whoever's in charge of this travesty. My mom stepped between him and my gurney. Your son put my boy in the hospital, and you want to complain about travesties? Dr. Chen's face flushed red. Your son has been harassing Marcus for years. This is all an elaborate fraud designed to extort money from my family. Mr. Chen, Officer Martinez appeared behind him. I strongly advise you to stop talking. Everything you say is being recorded as part of our investigation. Investigation? Dr. Chen's voice rose to near hysteria. Martinez, I've donated $3.2 million to this hospital alone. Your wife works in our cardiac unit. Surely we can resolve this matter privately. Martinez's expression hardened. Sir, are you attempting to bribe a police officer? The words echoed through the emergency room. Dar. Chen went white as every nurse, doctor, and patient within earshot turned to stare. I never, that's not what I meant. Because attempted bribery of a law enforcement officer is a federal crime, Martinez continued loudly enough for everyone to hear. Right here in front of dozens of witnesses. My mom squeezed my hand as they wheeled me toward the examination rooms. Sweetheart, what exactly did you do? I looked back at Dr. Chen, who was now being questioned by 2 additional officers who just arrived. I fought back, Mom. Finally. The emergency room doctor finished stitching my lip at 11:47 p.m., and I couldn't stop smiling despite the pain medication making everything feel fuzzy around the edges. 17 stitches total, Dr. Patel announced, stepping back to admire his work. 2 hairline fractures in your orbital bone, severe bruising to the ribs, but no internal bleeding. You're lucky, son. Lucky. If he only knew how perfectly everything had gone according to plan. My phone had been buzzing non-stop for hours. Text after text, each one better than the last. * Marcus expelled effective immediately. Stanford rescinded scholarship offer. Sarah *. Northwestern pulled Jake's acceptance. Official statement cited, character concerns incompatible with university values. Brian Kim *. Princeton's admissions office called Tyler personally to withdraw his acceptance. They used the word appalled. Amy Rodriguez *. Channel 7 picked up the story. It's going viral. #Justice for Daniel is trending. Chris Richardson *. But the best message came at 11:52 p.m. from an unknown number with a Stanford area code. Mr. Parker, this is Dean Williams from Stanford Admissions. We've been following your story. Would you be interested in discussing a full scholarship transfer from Harvard? We believe Stanford would be honored to have someone with your courage and character. Please call at your earliest convenience. Asterisk. I stared at the message for a full minute. Stanford. The school Marcus had dreamed of attending since elementary school was now recruiting his victim. Daniel. My mom sat beside my hospital bed, still wearing her scrubs from the double shift she'd pulled to pay for my graduation cap and gown. The police want to know if you're ready to give your full statement. Through the window, I could see the parking lot filled with news vans. Channel 7, Channel 12, even CNN had sent a crew. The story was bigger than I'd ever imagined. Bullied students' brilliant revenge destroys athletic dynasty. Officer Martinez appeared in my doorway, looking exhausted but satisfied. Daniel, I wanted to update you before the media circus gets completely out of hand. He consulted his notebook. Marcus Chen has been charged with aggravated assault, conspiracy, witness intimidation, and organized hazing. His father's been charged with attempted bribery of a police officer. The family's assets are being frozen pending investigation into how they've been covering up Marcus's behavior over the years. My mom gasped. Frozen assets. Turns out the Chen family's been making donations to the school district specifically to protect Marcus from consequences, Martinez explained. That's textbook corruption. FBI is taking over the case. FBI. The word sent a thrill through me that no amount of pain medication could dull. Jake Morrison and Tyler Webb are looking at similar charges, though their families seem more interested in plea bargaining than fighting, Martinez continued. Tyler's already agreed to testify against the others in exchange for reduced charges. Honor among thieves, right? He closed his notebook with a satisfied snap. Oh, and Daniel. That recording device you used? Perfect audio quality. The prosecutor says it's the strongest evidence he's seen in 20 years of cases like this. As Martinez left, my phone buzzed with one final message. This one from Marcus himself, sent from juvenile detention. Asterisk, you destroyed my entire life over a few bruises. I hope you're happy. Asterisk. I typed back slowly, my stitched lip making it hard to smile. Asterisk, I didn't destroy your life, Marcus. I documented it. There's a difference. Asterisk. Then I blocked his number and settled back against my pillow. Outside, reporters were already calling it the Roosevelt revenge case. Inside this hospital room, surrounded by get-well flowers from classmates who'd never spoken to me before, I finally understood what justice felt like. Graduation was in 3 days. Marcus, Jake, and Tyler would be watching from jail cells while I walked across that stage as valedictorian, Harvard-bound, with Stanford as my backup plan. The best day of my life was finally complete.